Good morning, everyone, and quick shout-out to Jason, of course. Thanks for having me again. I spoke at Social Fresh West last year. It was one of my favorite conferences. I love the one-track thing. You don't have to make any decisions, right? It's simple, and it's a nice holistic approach to everything. So, and again, I'm a contributor to the Social Fresh blog as well, proud contributor. One of my daily reads. So I'm just thrilled to be here. But so I lead content marketing for LinkedIn Marketing Solutions specifically. LinkedIn is divided up into three spaces. So there's LinkedIn Talent Solutions, Sales Solutions, and then LinkedIn Marketing Solutions. So I focus specifically on marketing solutions. And I'm going to talk about visual content today, something I've had great success with at Marketo and then into LinkedIn. So with that being said, we'll get started. That's I'm Jason Miller, CA on Twitter. Feel free to tweet along. That is me. This is what I'm doing when I'm not working at LinkedIn. This is the photo pit on the Monsters of Rock cruise, a giant boat with about 47 heavy metal bands from the 80s that nobody cares about except for me and 4,000 people on this boat. So the interesting thing, though, is I can learn a lot from this, and it plays into the visual content that I do. I always kind of interject a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of passion into my content marketing, per great advice from Ann Hanley. But the idea is visual is simple, it's easy, and I'm going to talk about how I apply that to content marketing. This is... I brought 2 rock and roll cocktail t-shirts from my personal blog. So if anyone knows who this band is, I shot this band on Tuesday. This is around midnight. I got some sleep last night, though, which is great. If anybody knows who this band is that's playing, come find me afterwards, and I'll give you one of my limited edition rock and roll cocktail t-shirts. They are limited to as many as I decide to produce. So anyway. And then finally, that's my blog. This is where you can find me when I'm not doing that. And enough about that. Let's talk about why I'm here. Why is somebody here from LinkedIn talking about visual content or content marketing in general? Well, I'll tell you that 1 in 3 of every professionals on the planet is on LinkedIn. So what does that say? That says that there's an opportunity, right? Especially for us marketers, specifically content marketers. It's an opportunity for us to connect with the professional mindset. I said it yesterday. This is like, I've been paying for it ever since with this tweet. But I believe that people spend time on the other social networks, specifically Facebook, I called them out, but they invest time on LinkedIn. They are here on LinkedIn to learn, to be inspired, to learn how to be better at their job, and sometimes be entertained, but it's exactly the combination of what works for content marketing. So there's the opportunity to connect with the professional mindset. Right? Very specific. And then I mentioned this as well yesterday, but our content pages receive 7 times the page views of job pages. That means that we're evolving. We're moving past this online resume that we've been stuck with. That's still very important. The LinkedIn profile should be optimized as a marketer, not only for your next position or your next job, but it's to connect. It's your online identity. It's your place where you can brag a little bit about yourself, right? So make sure that thing, don't neglect that. Update it. The publishing profile we just put on there. This is your personal brand. It's 2014, man. Put a little bit of effort into this, right? So, and again, at LinkedIn, we are moving towards the definitive professional publishing platform. It's professional content. This is different than your standard everyday content. It's the professional mindset, and it's the only place you can get this stuff. So, let's talk about content. I know we're all tired of hearing that content is king. Am I right? So I propose today that we call content the whiz because nobody beats the whiz. No good? All right, anyway. So, I like to think of the state of content marketing sort of like, there we go. Sort of like media in the 70s, right? So, in the 70s, there was a big movement of punk rock in New York and the UK. But these bands like the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, the Clash, the Dead Kennedys, all these bands could not get any media coverage because all the media outlets were covering disco. Disco is huge. You could not get any coverage. And so what happened was, I'm going to find the area. This is clicking. What happened was, we'll get to it. There we go. These bands like the Sex Pistols and The Clash, they had to become so outlandish that they had to make their own story, right? And they own their own story. So that's why I think we're at today with content marketing. Why would you not want to own your own story? Why would you not want to tell your own story? And it's possible with native advertising and a good content strategy and a little bit of PR, a little bit of demand gen, all this stuff working together, that's where we're at today. It's this forward-thinking movement of content, right? And then when they became their own media, they made their own news. They owned their own story. And as brands, we need to do this. I know we hear this all the time, but this is a really one of my favorite quotes from Jello Biafra. From this, he was leading this movement in the 70s. Jello Biafra is the singer of the Dead Kennedys. I'm also the only person in LinkedIn history to quote the Dead Kennedys in an executive briefing. I frightened some people from APAC, I heard. But anyway, so Jello Biafra famously said, don't hate the media, become the media, right? And that's why I love this content marketing thing so much, because right now, I mean, the search engines have killed these content farms, right? So it's not a numbers game. You don't need this huge publishing platform anymore. You don't need a team of 500 people creating content. You need more relevant content. Not more content, but more relevant content. And that's where this comes in. Right? You can own this. You can make an impact this afternoon by publishing something this morning. You can make a bigger impact in 6 months and a year. And it doesn't have to be a ton of content, but you have to get started right away. So I'm going to talk about this specifically with visual content today. And I love this. Whenever you talk about visual content, somebody always has to say, oh, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And then you think you're so clever when you come up with this blog title. But this is the whole page on Google. This is what happens when you search this. Well, a picture is worth 1,000. It gets old. So I did a little research on this. And I found out the history of where this came from, right? So this is Printers Ink magazine in 1921. A marketer named Frederick Barnard. I like this guy because he's innovative. He's trying new things. He runs this ad. He's trying to sell some auto parts or whatever. So he comes up with this ad, puts it in Printers Ink magazine. One look is worth 1,000 words. But it fails. He doesn't get any response from it. So what does he do? Just like any good content marketer, he goes back and he tries it again with a different angle. But this time, this is 1927, Printers Ink magazine, 6 years later. He calls it a Chinese proverb. This is not a Chinese proverb. He just made this up. But I like this guy because he's innovating. I think it's creative. But Alan Blackman researched this and would not have it. So it turns out the research shows that a picture is really only worth 81.4 words, and that's on average. Right? So I'm here to tell you that visual content is not going to save your content marketing strategy. But I'm telling you, it is an essential part. It is a staple. Right? This is an essential part of any successful content strategy moving forward. So David Ogilvy, the original madman back in the 50s, famously said, once you've written your headline, you've spent 80 cents of your dollar. I say the same is true once you've chosen the visual to support your content, right? You have seconds to grab somebody's attention, right? And you need to do it with a compelling image. A little bit of a pause. This is a cat flying through space on a carpet made of bacon. This is the most compelling image I've ever seen in my entire life. I will click on it no matter what is behind it. This shows up in my feed. I'm clicking. I love it. But the visual is the new headline, right? And again, there was some research that came out a little while ago that, from the American Research Institute, and they determined that the average attention span of a human being has dropped from 12 seconds back in 2000 to 8 seconds. 8 seconds! That's crazy. But you know who has an attention span of 9 seconds it's a big reveal, this guy. The goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds. That's one more second than anyone in this room. That's frightening. But it's also an opportunity for us content marketers to adapt, right? So to adapt our strategy. And there are 5 reasons for going visual. Why go visual? Well, number one, we are all visual thinkers. 70% of the sensory neurons in our brain are processing visual information right now, right? It's easy. It stimulates. We're hardwired for this. Number 2, visual language aids in decision-making. This is proven throughout history. This is why when you're in class and when I was in class, we had overhead projectors. Anybody know what the hell an overhead projector is? Try that out, right? So number 3, visual makes a better, longer overall impression than simple text. You remember these things, right? If it's a compelling image. If you're going to Shutterstock or iStock Photo, don't go on choose any of the goddamn pictures from 1 through 15, the pages 1 through 15. That's called the lazy marketer syndrome. Go to like page 1,256. That's where the good stuff is. It's where the stuff that nobody's used 100,000 times. Anyway, that's my little rant. Number 4, visual is more persuasive. There's studies, I can quote a million stats about how much more persuasive visual is. It connects with you. It connects emotionally. It can evoke, it can inspire. It can inspire you to take action quicker than plain text, right? And then number 5, visual connects emotionally. And if you don't believe me, go into a Hallmark store and walk over to the sympathy card section, and then go over and grab some Kleenex because you're in trouble, right? There's people weeping there all day long. It connects emotionally. I love it. So, let's talk about how we get there, right? SlideShare is not just a content repository. SlideShare is a platform for visual content marketing thought leadership. The people who are using SlideShare, not to just host their webinar slides, they're hosting presentations that are designed specifically for SlideShare. It's a self-guided, interactive journey through your own content. And how do you get there? I'm going to show you a few examples. But by repurposing, by creating stuff specifically for this channel. Right? As content marketers, we know that this research is being done, and we know the consumer and our customers and prospects are in charge of how they consume their content, where they consume their content. So you'd better have all of your channels covered, right? And people always ask me, where do you start with social? Where do you start with social and content? Should I be on every single channel? Yeah, absolutely you should. And then you should whittle away the ones that don't work. I don't like Pinterest, but I'm forced to use it because I'm a photographer. But I don't like it. It just doesn't do anything for me in a B2B marketing sense, right? But it's a tremendous asset for retailers. So I whittled that out of my B2B strategy. Again, be everywhere and then whittle out what doesn't work. It's trial and error. So this is a slide. If you're ever wondering why something shows up on the front page of SlideShare, this can be the difference between 500 views and 100,000 views in a couple of days. This is no secret. This is out there. This is the optimal presentation. I'm not going to read through this specifically, but you'll get these slides. But this is out there. This is what the editors at SlideShare look for. There's no magic algorithm. There's a person. There's actually 2 people who go through these presentations, and they see if it's designed well, if it's a good story, if it's helpful, right? As Jay Baer famously said in Utility, which is one of my favorite all-time books, sell something, you get a customer for a day. Help someone, you get a customer for a lifetime. One of my favorite quotes from Joe. From Jay, sorry. But the idea here is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it telling a story? And is it designed well, right? It doesn't cost a fortune to design this stuff. And it's out there. And this is really interesting. So rock and roll design does not have to cost a fortune. There's Canva. This is from Haiku Deck. This is a free service. Anybody know Haiku Deck? This is really cool stuff, man. I made this cover slide in 2 seconds. Right? So I have all these great images, and it imports directly into SlideShare. So if you have a story, if you have an idea, a blog post, let's think about the original. The blog post, I love the blog post. Not the sexiest piece of social media, but I call it the social media rug that ties the room together, like the dude abides, right? Because this is where it all starts. But if the blog is essentially one idea, and it's told in text, if you can take that one idea and translate it into a visual journey, go to Haiku Deck or Canva, and just put this thing together, and it looks beautiful, and it takes just a few minutes, and it's compelling, and it's interactive. And it embeds across, I'll show you, it embeds across different platforms. But who's doing it right with SlideShare right now? As far as visual content marketing thought leadership, these are 3 of my favorites. Moz.com. If you search SEO on SlideShare, by the way, SlideShare is its own search engine, right? So as people are searching Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever for information, they're also searching inside SlideShare. So these are the folks who I think are doing a really great job. Moz.com owns the space in SEO. If you want to know anything about SEO, you go to SlideShare and you click on Moz, and you get just tons of great content. And it's designed specifically for SlideShare. They have a great strategy. Doug Kessler put out this from the Velocity Marketing Group, did a presentation called Crap Content about a year or so ago. And again, he owns the space around thought leadership on content marketing. Some other great people in there. Michael Brenner is a big advocate of SlideShare, Barry Feldman. But these guys, this is a terribly underutilized channel, and they know how to work it. And I love this, right? They're getting great results. And then HubSpot, too. HubSpot is the beast of content marketing. They are doing such a great job, but they have this huge team, but they also use SlideShare to promote different assets. It's all a part of this integrated marketing strategy that we're all moving towards, but it leads here with visual content. And this is an example from Marketo. You want real numbers, man? This is real numbers. When I was at Marketo, we created a white paper called Inbound Marketing something or some not. Anyway, so I took that same piece of content, this boring-ass white paper. I shouldn't really say that. It wasn't that bad. They got like 17,000 views. That's not too bad. We took that same content and designed it into this self-guided, interactive, beautiful journey through the same goddamn content. And we got 328,000 views in less than 3 months. This is crazy. This is free. Put it up there, right? Oh, we paid a little bit for the design, but the idea is this drove revenue. I'll show you. These are real numbers. Oh, actually, after I talk about Chris Angel, who I saw in Las Vegas after Guns N' Roses, again, if I had to rank events in my life, it's like wedding day, Guns N' Roses in Las Vegas, Chris Angel in Las Vegas, right? I'm a total geek. But anyway, SlideShare embeds beautifully. It adds across platforms. So what you have here is you have SlideShare embedded in a blog. It adds interactivity to your blog automatically. And then you see it there on a landing page. Great for content. And then you see it there rendering beautifully in Twitter. It renders nice in the LinkedIn feed. This is pure interactivity, visual content inside the feed. People don't have to do a click to get anywhere. They're already there, right? And they're consuming your content. It's all trackable. So, and the built-in lead gen forms, right? Why are we doing this in all the first place? Because this is a seamless content marketing experience. Built-in lead form. You can have this thing pop up in the middle, you can have it pop up at the end, but the idea is if they're enjoying your content, they're consuming your content, you want them to be able to contact you. Here it is. This stuff, you want to get really sophisticated, this can sync directly into your marketing automation platform and start the nurturing process and scoring process. This is a beautiful thing. This is all integrated marketing. It's almost, and don't confuse automation with less personalization. That's not what we're going here. This isn't, 2007 using Twitter for a big enterprise. This is personalized stuff based on their interactions. But the idea here is you've got to turn these forms on, and you've got to have the content that's going to pull them through. So, and again, here's some numbers. These are actual numbers from when I was at Marketo, and this is when we used Marketo specifically. I'm now an Eloquent customer. I never thought I'd say that before, but whatever works, right? But you see the investment here. We spent $4,600 to create this thing. 77,000 people filled out the form, and it was less than $1 per success. Success means somebody filled out the form and came in. Now, out of those 7,000, over 4,400 were new names. These are new people coming into Marketo through our content. This is incredible. And look at that cost. This is B2B, man. People are paying $52 for a lead with PPC, and you can get $1 per name through SlideShare. It's like a dollar store for lead generation, but it's like a Nordstrom dollar store because it's high-quality stuff. Nordstrom dollar store. Love it. Oh, and don't forget that I'm not really allowed to talk about Google. The search engines, they crawl this stuff. This is another place, another opportunity for you to get on the homepage of Google. This is prime real estate. It's the same content, or find your competitors, see what they're doing, and do something better on SlideShare, and then optimize it. There's a little viral meter on SlideShare that tells you how optimized your presentation is. We're taking all the work out of this for you because we know that marketers are busy. I'm busy. Let's make this easy. Not complicate this stuff. Again, indexed by Google. I love it. I mean by the search engines. Oh, and by the way, let me just say, the infographic is not dead. Claiming that something is dead is so passé. Right? We got to stop this. If this is dead, that is dead. Everything's dead. Then what the hell are we all doing here? The multi-benefits of a successful infographic. I'll send you these slides. I don't want to go through these easy. But if you create an infographic just to create an infographic, you're not going to have success. Oh, I think I skipped ahead. If you create an infographic with a strategy behind it, with an idea, with some kind of promotion, what do you want this infographic to do? Do you want it to tell a complex story? Do you want it to support your press release? For the PR people, I love Sarah's presentation the other day, but she talked about this too, the importance of adding the visual to a press release. The press release, after you go public with a company, you can't do that anymore. Then you got to go to the blog. And you can't just send out these text-based, heavy Press releases, man, because the press likes visuals just as much as we do, and just as much as our audience, our customers or prospects do. So you add this stuff in. So I'll show you a couple examples. Again, I don't want to go through this, but they're easily shared. They break down a quick, complicated story. 3 or 4 years ago when I started Marketo, I had to tell a story of marketing automation. That's not sexy at all. That's like the most boring thing ever. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? I got John Miller let me do some crazy stuff. But anyway, so this is, and again, this is not making an infographic a week, folks. This is making one infographic, as Doug Kessler says, one home run per quarter, right? You focus on one content home run, one visual content home run per quarter. This was my home run when I first came to LinkedIn. I saw that Marketing Profits and Content Marketing Institute put out this great study on content marketing, and I was trying to tell the story of the marketer, the content marketer, specifically LinkedIn. So I called up Ann, I said, Ann, I want to create this infographic based on your data. And she said, call Joe. So I called Joe. They said, cool, do it, and we're all going to share it. So what we did was we took this data that was already out there that was relevant to what we wanted to tell the story from LinkedIn, and we put this out there. But we didn't do just one infographic. We did 3 infographics. And then we did one big one. And then we sent it out to everybody. And we said, are you interested in this? Which one do you want? And the coverage was crazy. And I'm not making these numbers up. And let me tell you this, by the way. They didn't publish this because it said LinkedIn on it. We're LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, man. I'm building my own story here, right? They published it because it was good, solid content, and we seeded them. And we said, are you interested in this? By the influencers. And they said yes. And so we created it. It was a strategy, right? Publisher total unique visitors, collectively 178 million people, and the infographic is dead. You're out of your goddamn mind. Now prepare to have your mind blown to this next number. Total potential viewership, 3 billion people. So you tell me that 1/3 of the planet may or may not have seen this? These are ComScore numbers, people. I don't make this shit up. Poke a hole in it, please. ComScore numbers. But more importantly, in the world of SEO, we all know link backs are still important. Link backs are vital. And until the search engines admit that these social signals, these likes, comments, plus ones, actually play a role into the algorithm, which I think they do. I don't know. But until they admit that, we got to play by the rules. So 33 link backs from top-tier pubs. Man, we stopped measuring after a while. 8,000 shares. That's all virality. It shows engagement. That is a ranking factor in itself. Oh, not to mention it shows relevance, pure relevance. And then I got a couple more examples. This is the blogging food groups. So that's your technical data infographic. This is the blogging food groups. I borrowed this from Rick Burns at HubSpot. He wrote this brilliant article in 2009. I think Ann wrote about it in Content Rules as well, Ann Hanley. But I took this and reimagined it, but inside HubSpot. And they were like super happy about this. But it was basically just a well-designed, this is real food, man. We got together with Column 5 and created this. And we were taking pictures of this, mustard and pepperoni and crap. But the idea was a well-balanced blog. But I'm going to show you the results on this as well. Once we seeded this out, we translated it into French. We took this thing global. The most difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life is going global. I don't even know what the hell this infographic says. I don't even know if it's correct. But I trust my team leads, right? This is difficult stuff. Global content marketing, incredibly difficult. And there's Portuguese, I think. Shit, I don't know. Anyway, but the idea is this thing translated across languages, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And then this is what I love so much, man. We talk about at LinkedIn all the time. We talk about relationships matter, and building these relationships. You don't get a job. You don't get anything in life anymore unless you connect with somebody. I love how Jason's networking with us, and a little shout out to Team Entourage out there, my little team. But all this stuff happens because of relationships, because you get on people's radar, because you ping them about something, because you create something that gets on their radar and they want to share. So this happened right afterwards. But this thing showed up again. Mashable, Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, man. One infographic per quarter, one home run per quarter, seed it. These are big names. And again, not because of LinkedIn, but because it was interesting and it was compelling and it was a different view on something, right? It's our own unique view. Then Hugh McLeod, who wrote a book called Ignore Everybody, my favorite artist of all time, from Gaping Void, my favorite artist / content guy, tweeted this thing, and I tweeted to him and I said, hey, Hugh, thanks for sharing this thing. And he said, best infographic I've seen in ages, kudos. Are you kidding me? This is Hugh McLeod. I've been trying to get on this guy's radar for 3 years. And now he's following me on Twitter. I'm busting up here, man. I'm so blown away by this piece of content, right? So it's the personal brand comes along for the ride. in this instance. So this is kittens versus bacon. This is an idea I had at Marketo. I came into John Miller's office, John Miller, no relation, co-founder of Marketo. I said, John, I have this great idea for an infographic. I think it's going to be the biggest infographic in the history of infographics. He says, what is it? I said, it's called kittens versus bacon. You know what he said to me? He goes, I don't hate it, which means full steam ahead. So here we go. So we broke down kittens versus bacon. We have cats here versus funny cats, et cetera, et cetera. Then we broke it down a little bit more. And you'll see here, we took dimensions of bacon and compared it to dimensions of Kevin Bacon. Right? It's helpful. So we couldn't really find anything to match it against kittens with, so we went after the Kardashians because it was like, I don't know why we chose that. But finally, why are we doing this? If it's not, you're thinking like, what the hell kind of value is this to a marketer? Well, I'm telling you, if you do this infographic, you get this interesting data, you get on these people's radars, you got to provide some type of value. So here are my 3 steps for integrating kittens and bacon into your marketing strategies. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? But this works. It works. And you Google kittens and bacon and marketing, this thing is going to pop up, man. And it's going to drive traffic. That's a hot search term. Check it out on Google Trends. It's right underneath content marketing and right above native advertising. Right there in the sweet spot. Anyway, but it's driving traffic back to the blog that ties the social media rug room together, and it converts if it's optimized properly. So, but this is Nigel Tufnell from the movie Spinal Tap. And famously, Rob Reiner, it's a mockumentary. Mockumentary meaning a documentary, but it's mocking rock and roll. So if you haven't seen this movie, this is the moment where Rob Reiner is asking Nigel Tufnell, he says, why do your amps go to 11? You can see that their amps go up to 11. He goes, when you're on stage, there's my English accent, and the crowd's going crazy, and the music's loud, and he goes, and you need to step it up a notch. Where could you go when you're on 10? Nowhere. These go 1 louder. And it's ridiculous, right? But anyway, so when you need that extra push in your content, and this, again, folks, this is 2014, man. If you don't have some sort of budget and headcount for paid social and content, then you're in trouble. So anyway, what I call it is inbound plus outbound equals heavy metal thunder. This is where you pay to promote your own good content. And what you see here is a sponsored update from LinkedIn. Again, I use LinkedIn specifically, but there's native advertising in the other ones, the Facebooks, the Twitters, et cetera, et cetera. One could even say the original native advertising was, the search engines with the ads. I mean, it's advertising that's in line, that doesn't look like an advertisement, right? This is the future. And people will tell you like, oh, inbound marketing is all you need, inbound marketing. No, it's not. Doing inbound marketing alone is like hanging out with the same group of high school kids your entire goddamn life. I hated high school. I don't want to go back to that, right? So to break out with any content, and these visual content is great because it's easily shareable. To break beyond your initial reach, you need to put some paid. It gets to these secondary connections, the friends of friends. That's where the viral, the peer-to-peer starts happening. That's where the magic happens. That's where the advocates get empowered to share your own content. They're talking about you. You don't have to do it anymore. I love it. And there's an example. But mobile is accelerating content consumption. And this is interesting because, and it goes into visual content. That is the new SlideShare app on Android. That's what it looks like, right? This is easily consumed content. If you go to MSNBC or ABC Go, all of these news channels, they look very similar. They're all visual. This is where we have to go with our content. And this is interesting. This is real data from LinkedIn. And it says, basically, you can see here, this is traffic to LinkedIn. And so what you can see here is that there's a big spike in all 3 devices in the morning, right? And then throughout the day, you see mobile, or you see desktop accelerate because we're at work, right? And then you see tablet kind of take a dip. But you see mobile online all day because we're addicted to our phones. We can't put them down. Right? So we're constantly checking and consuming content. But the idea here is that you have to have this seamless experience on your content across all 3 devices. You have to. You can't have people switching from mobile to desktop or from desktop to mobile and then pinching and squeezing and trying to fill forms out. It just doesn't work. You're going to lose that conversion. So, again, these are some tips. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to cruise through these really quickly, and I will get you these slides. But optimizing SlideShare for mobile, this is really cool. When you're creating this content for SlideShare, if you just go through these 5 steps, it's very simple. Keep it simple. And you can have 2 versions of this if you want. You want a desktop version, there's a mobile preview button in there. You can kind of see this stuff and see how it works out. But the idea is to go through this checklist. It's going to make all the difference in the world, I promise you. And then I just put this in there for those about to create visual content. You're supposed to say, "We salute you." You guys are killing me today. I thought that was a good one. I'm coming home. So, and then where do you start with the visual content? Rebecca Lee famously said a little while ago, I asked Rebecca, I said, "Rebecca, what do you tell these companies who say, I don't have enough content," right? She says, "Well, think about your content that you already have, like Thanksgiving turkey. And what do you do with this giant bird after Thanksgiving? What do you do with it? You chop this thing into a million pieces and you repurpose it," right? So when you're creating visual content, look around what you have and see what you can repurpose into SlideShare presentations, infographics, webinars, videos, et cetera, right? It's easy, and it's easy to keep that relevant stream going. And, that's Mr. David Bowie. Take a look at that because that's relevant to my next quote here. If this clicker... There we go. So, David Bowie, that was David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust in the 70s, right? Famously, during that tour, a media guy came up to him, a press photographer, and said, "Mr. Bowie, are you indeed original?" He said, "Absolutely not." He said, "The only art I'll ever study is stuff that I can steal from." So again, I encourage you to steal all of these ideas, because nothing is original anymore. There's nothing original. Nothing. But the idea is to grab something that's relevant to your audience and put your own spin on it. That's why we're all here. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? It's not a numbers game anymore. It's a relevance game. So steal this stuff. Take your own spin on it. Do your own kittens versus bacon. Do something and make it your own, so you can call it your own, and you can pull traffic back and satisfy your audience, right? So just a couple more examples really quick. This is the culture code. This got 8 million views. It was called the most significant piece of content by Sheryl Sandberg. This is from Netflix. This is an internal document that they put on SlideShare. This is thought leadership in the culture bucket. This is cool stuff. Anybody out there, you can do this and tag it with culture code, and it'll go onto this page in SlideShare with all the other companies that are doing this. And chances are I might even get on the front page. But tell your story. Why is your culture, your company unique? What are you doing? Again, this is telling your story. And you can go to Haiku Deck and make it visually stunning. Easy to do. Check this out. This is cool stuff. This is by the way, it's like 300 slides or something, which is crazy. But one of the big ones. Promoting your event. HubSpot does a great job of this on SlideShare. You have an event, take pictures, put it on SlideShare. Boom, done. This one is really interesting. I just found this one by stumbling across there. And it's interesting because right in the middle, I'm clicking through these slides, and there's a coupon code in there. What better way to inspire somebody to take action about a coupon code? Love it. Oh, and then this guy's not going to win any design competitions anytime soon, but he took his frequently asked questions and put them on his SlideShare, and then he put a little hashtag there. If you have a question, he'll put it in there. He'll update it. This is cool stuff, man. SlideShare. It's interactive. It's fun. It's clickable. It's not a big page of boring-ass text. And then you can do these little clickable moments inside the SlideShare deck, these little quick tweetable moments inside the SlideShare deck, which then is just these cool little tentacles going out there, all driving them back to your SlideShare page, which there's a nice, robust campaign management platform inside of SlideShare with the metrics. This is free stuff, man, free. SlideShare does not cost. If you go up to the platinum level, there's money. But all the stuff I've shown you is free. And then how do we know if this stuff is working? There's a million blog posts out there that will tell you a million different ways to measure this, right? So I'm going to tell you 3 based on my experience. Number 1, increased referral traffic. But better yet, increased non-branded keyword referral traffic. That means somebody who is coming to your site by not typing your brand's name into Google. I mean the search engines. So what happens is they're coming to your site from somewhere else. Where could it be? It's your content. Very much likely your visual content. And then social engagement. Again, a sign of relevance, social engagement. I love that. And then number 3, why in the hell we do this in the first place? Because of higher quality leads. Are the people who are coming into your funnel or your site, are they converting quicker than the ones who don't? Are they converting on the first pass? Are they accelerating the buying cycle? Are they shortening the buying cycle? If they are, then your content is relevant and you're winning this game. And then finally, this is how this is what the team looks like. This is what you put your visual content into. I just came up with this. I put this together on the plane. So what you have here is you have KISS. This is the new model of content marketing, and visual plays a big role in this. Here you have KISS, and you have 4 individual members, each with their own unique role on this team. This is a progressive look at forward integrated marketing. We have Paul doing the social, Peter Chris laying back the backbeat. He's the SEO, man. He's the foundation, the drummer. Then you got Gene, who's the crazy demon. He's the content guy, visual content specifically. And then you got Ace Frehley over here who's the demand gen. But more importantly, you got PR working together with them. And then most importantly, at the bottom, you have the KISS Army. I'm a card-carrying member of the KISS Army. I have the card in my bag over there if you want to see it. But that's the community. If you don't have that community, you don't have anybody looking at your content or consuming your content. This is it. KISS figured this out. Shit, in 1974. I think that's where we're headed to. Anyway, this is my book, coming out in September. Hopefully Guns N' Roses will not sue me. And I will leave you with a quote from the greatest content marketers on the planet, the greatest visual content marketers on the planet. I took this photo last Wednesday at the KISS show, and this is Mr. Paul Stanley. This is the greatest quote around content marketing I've ever seen. People want a thrill, people want a spectacle, and people love to be entertained. As we are marketers, we are content marketers, we are visual content marketers, this is our job. Do not forget. Inspired, educate, inform, and also entertain. That's the magic formula that I found for content marketing success. So thank you, and thanks for having me.